what Psalm 1 is showing us is that, but his delight, so blessed is the man whose delight is in the law of the Lord. And on his law he meditates day and night. And so right out of the gate for the book of Psalms to frame the rest of the Psalter is this, that you and I, every single day, setting aside the moment we accepted Christ, because that obviously was the ultimate decision, but every single day, you and I have an opportunity to choose God or the way of the world, the way of the Lord or the way of the world. So when you're on your way home and you're about to get into an argument with your wife, you have two paths to choose. One is life and the other one is, well, death, right? Don't choose that one. It's your choice, but every single day. So blessed is the man who walks. He's choosing. I'm walking in the counsel of the Lord and not of the wicked. Every single day we have that same choice multiple times, probably hundreds of times a day. So Psalms from the heart, that's the title of the series. Psalms written from the heart. You're going to see that in the midst of life, you have a choice how you're going to respond to that life. So I asked you about your favorite Bible story. Maybe a favorite character. For some people, they might say Moses and the Exodus. That account of that historical event is absolutely incredible. All the miracles and a man, right, Moses and his brother Aaron, leading millions of people out of bondage in Egypt to the precipice of the promised land. They didn't make it to the promised land, but they made it to the precipice, and then Joshua brought them the rest of the way. Incredible story. Maybe David and Goliath. Some people would say David and Goliath. I mean, what an incredible story. Right, of this young shepherd's boy, this teenager, defeating this seasoned warrior. Maybe Paul and his missionary journeys. Incredible stories of, him being stoned and, people thought that they killed him. That's something, just incredible stuff. Being bit by a viper, shipwrecked, all these things, deprivation. But in each of those cases, whether it's Moses or David or Paul, just like you and I, they had ups and downs. They had victories and they had valleys. They had mountaintop experiences and they had defeats. They lived with the same kinds of ups and downs, the glorified moments of life, and then those horrible moments of life. And when you see them in these critical moments, they chose the way of God. So when Moses saw that burning bush, he chose to go back to Egypt. It wasn't easy. Remember, he fled because he had murdered an Egyptian. Now you're going to go back to the place where you murdered an Egyptian. And you're going to deliver the people from the bondage of the Egyptians. That's not an easy choice. David standing there with his brothers listening to Goliath, who was yelling as he came forward and yelling insults at the army and insults at God. And this teenager who was a shepherd, his weapon was a slingshot, was a sling. I'm going to go fight that guy. Who had his own armor bearer. Or Paul, who personally stood over the stoning of the first Christian martyr, Stephen. He was the one, when they were literally murdering this martyr, Stephen, they literally put their garments at his feet because he was a Pharisee. And he stood over the stoning of this Christian, approving it. And on the way to Damascus to persecute more Christians, he has a close encounter with Jesus Christ. All three of them chose the way of the Lord. But they also all experienced tremendous hardship, ups and downs. And in the Psalms, we're really going to see that from David. And when you write, so often you're going to see this thread. Maybe you've noticed it before, maybe you haven't, but you can say, oh, this is what the preacher was talking about. Throughout the Psalms, you see the two ways. There are the scoffers and the evildoers. There are the mockers, the persecutors, and then there's God. And repeatedly throughout Scripture, throughout the Psalms, you're going to see that. And so Psalm 1 in verses 1 and 2, it shows us, kind of gives us a compass for this series, in that you and I have a choice. And it would seem that it would be easy. Just choose the way of the Lord, righteousness every time. Well, Moses, when he struck the rock for water, He disregarded the glory of God, and he was not able to go into the promised land. David sinned with Bathsheba, and there was a great tumult in his life over that. Paul always lived with the reality of what he had done prior to becoming a follower of Jesus Christ. So choosing the way of the Lord is a conscious decision each day. And we are all one heartbeat away from life and our legacy. See, the moment my last heartbeat beats, my legacy begins. The moment my life ends. Every single one of us, we are one heartbeat away from the difference between our life and our legacy.